What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. Today's video, part 2, rebuilding my wrecked Lamborghini. So in the previous video, I got it rolling, which was a big step, fixing a lot of the rear control arm components, the bolts, brake lines, things like that. So I can actually move the car around, which is a huge, big step. So today we're gonna replace a few of the more simple body panels. As you can tell, the front fender is pretty messed up. And then if we go to the back of the car, the intake cover on the side for the scoop is pretty darn bent, and then the back piece as well is pretty messed up, cracked, broken, and we got tire stuff all over it. So, as you might be able to tell, check all this out. These are some used parts I found, ironically painted in the exact same color. So we have this brand new intake scoop piece, the whole rear piece with the Lamborghini logo, and then a nice brand new fender. So I've already gone ahead and removed the trunk liner when I fixed the leak on the headlight. Trunk liner, there's literally 4 bolts inside and it pulls right out. And then this plastic piece right here, obviously already taken that out. Again, just a couple bolts and it comes out super quickly. So this fender, I'll probably have to pop this headlight back out. Doesn't really look all too complicated. I've already taken this bolt out right here just with that plastic thing. And then on the inside, I think we just gotta take the fender liner out. And the screw should just all be inside. If we take a look at this one, there might be like a clip right here that the front bumper goes on, and then just a few little brackets. With all that out, you can see right through the car, which is kind of a crazy sight to see. So like I said, we got a few bolts in here. Might need to take 1 or 2 off of the front bumper just to pop the section off. But you can see some of the screws from the back side that we will gain access through the door jamb. And then the construction is kind of interesting. Like there's a tab up there, slightly bent, but the actual framing of the car, all this is fine looking. The entire structure is good. It's just all the superficial stuff. And then you can see the 1 bolt in there. And that should be about it to get this thing off. All right, with those 2 drilled out, the whole fender is off, which certainly makes the front end of the Lambo look kind of crazy. Here's a good look at the old one versus the new one. Basically, got a massive dent in it. Not really gonna be fixable given this is aluminum. So just went ahead and bought the new one. Now we gotta transfer over these tabs for that front bumper. And then we have this black thing in the back. Fender assembled with those 3 little pieces. We should be able to slide this in. This bulb twisted out of the socket, so that was the one hang up we had. And we should be able to click it in to the bumper itself now. All right, that's a good start. Well, there we have it. Front fender replaced, and from right there, car looks absolutely perfect. Just got a little piece of dirt there. Just got to buff off some of the rubber that's on the hood, but everything lines up perfectly nice. There are a few little scratches in it right here, but of course, whether I do a new door or repair this door, the paint will probably have to get blended into here anyway. So I was able to get $1,000 off this part because of those. However, I mean, 99%, that literally is perfect. And the paint matches nicely as well. Look at that. You can't even tell. That is awesome, especially that I found it in this color. But now the front end of the car looks pretty darn good. So we are getting there. The front end of the car, it looks perfect. Big difference from that destroyed fender from the front. Next up, time to work on this back deck portion and the intake cover. So opening up the engine compartment, as you can tell, this is cracked and really cracked. So no sense of trying to repair this or anything. This is like fiberglass and it's definitely bent and a little bit chipped up. This ironically was actually one of the really cheapest parts. It's like 300 bucks. So I went ahead and replaced it. Comment below, how much do you think that fender, this, and this tallied up cost? I will make a full cost video when the car is done, but let's go ahead and start removing some of this. With the last bolt off, there is this piece. Now let's just line up the new piece just for the fun of it to kind of see where it lays. Yeah, definitely not bent. So nice that I got a new one. Obviously the bolts are still in it right now, but that's about how that piece is gonna sit. And then this piece right here will literally just lock into place, and then that'll end up just kind of lining up a little bit as we get bolts all nice and lined up. So we are getting there. We are definitely getting there. All that now looks brand new. So I need to look at this bracket right here is a little bent where the taillight goes. I think that can be fixable, just bending it back. Obviously I need a new taillight. This bolt right here is the one that doesn't work. Every other bolt actually works, but the lens is what blew off. Unfortunately, if I had a lens, this actually wouldn't be something to replace. But if you then look at it, like I said, this structure is all fine. Even this brace right here looks pretty good. Even this is actually still good. It's just the outer layer, and then this looks a little tweaked. But structurally, it's impressive, I guess, how this car is designed. But you know, this whole fender obviously probably needs replacing. I don't know if that's repairable, but it looks like this will unbolt. And then this is actually a separate piece from this. It's actually glued together right here. This is a seam, and then there's another seam right in the edge of the door jamb there. So this is actually a different piece, which is kind of nice to see. So we'll have to eventually basically cut this off, cut it down there. There's some bolts down there and glue there, and then some glue on these inside seams. But for now, at least I'll put the 4 bolts, the front 4 on this piece. I won't mess with these bolts just yet because this is still bent. Try to bend this up a little bit and at least set the taillight back in and just lightly bolt it back together. So we'll make it look good again, and then next up I definitely need to get a new taillight. So then this whole section will be complete, and then the upper grille would be a good next step as well to help line everything up. And then we got to start working on the big stuff, and then the bumper could be last because that's really not needed for right now. With everything back and buttoned up back there, I left a few bolts out just because I'll have to take that back off to work on this quarter panel and the taillight. So I didn't do the rear bolts, and I just did 1 bolt in that taillight just to get it in there. Definitely a lot better. Front quarter panel looking good. Need a slight adjustment to get it closer to the window, and the rear is nearly dialed in. So we're getting there. Now let's get outside and see how it looks. All right, after a couple hours working on the car now, looks a heck of a lot better. Obviously, we still have quite a lot of work to go, but from right there, it looks perfect. So really nice to see that the parts I found are all in good condition. So front end, significantly different now. Obviously, it used to match that door. So that's looking really good. Just need to align it slightly to pull this back a little bit more, but that is looking really good. The paint looks absolutely perfect, which is really nice to see the color matches. Obviously the undamaged side, and then obviously getting a look at how this stock original one looks, and then now look at all that. Nice, shiny, and white. No cracking or anything weird. Lines up really nicely. Got a few tweaks once again just to get that dialed in since I didn't put the last bolts in, but we're looking a heck of a lot better. So I think, like I said, next up, definitely taillight. That way I can at least have that light off, and then just got to figure out replacing this and either repairing or replacing the door. But we are certainly getting there, working on getting this Lamborghini back on the road. And I went ahead and re-bled the brakes. I didn't like the way I did it in the last video. I saw a video on how to do it with one person and they were a little squishy. Much firmer now. I still might end up just doing a full new brake line for the one that I repaired in the previous video. So we'll get there, of course. But at least right now the car runs and drives. Brakes are adequate. The rear shock I still need to replace as well. But body panels are getting there. We are one step closer to getting this amazing machine back out on the road. But that is going to wrap it up for today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for plenty more content. We're going to rebuild my dream car, get this thing back to normal. So subscribe and stay tuned.